This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC Cambodia channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. Making headlines tonight. Cambodia enters the second week of its 14-day anti-Delta campaign, and the numbers suggest it is working. A huge wall of fire steadily approaches central Athens with over 500 firefighters battling the blaze. And a little butterfly gets all the water he needs after surviving this week's fires in southern Turkey. The kingdom has entered the second week of its 14-day anti-Delta campaign. It was last Friday that the nationwide curfew, ban on alcohol sales, and suspension of high-risk businesses came into effect in an attempt to curb the spread of the highly contagious Delta variant of COVID-19. A ban on table service is also in effect in every province except Phnom Penh, where the ban was lifted earlier this week. As the country begins the second week of the campaign, it would seem it is working. The pressure on healthcare workers is starting to ease. The number of new daily cases of COVID-19, daily deaths, and active cases have all been steadily dropping over the past 7 days. But more effort, not to mention more responsibility, is going to be needed if Cambodia is to put a final end to the community outbreak, most especially with the Delta variant slowly spreading. The Health Ministry has confirmed around 300 cases in the past week, and more are being detected every day. Red zones have been declared in Siem Reap and Banteay Meanchey, and several streets and other locations have been sealed off in Phnom Penh. Sen Sok's Tuk Tla market was briefly closed on Thursday as rapid tests were conducted on vendors and surrounding residents. 500 people in all were tested, 8 of them confirmed positive on Friday morning. The day before, the Phnom Penh Capital Administration closed Tul Sankey Market, as well as a section of Street 113 in 7 Makara, for 14 days. Despite the scares, arrests and vehicle confiscations continue for curfew violations, especially in the capital. Since the curfew began, over 2,750 people have been arrested, 1,280 vehicles have been impounded. It is these numbers which are going to need to drop as well if the second week of the campaign is going to achieve its goal. At the same time, the Prime Minister has ordered the immediate delivery of AstraZeneca doses to all frontline military and healthcare divisions along the border with Thailand. He says the booster shots for these personnel must start as soon as possible this weekend. Cambodia has over 1 million doses of AstraZeneca at its disposal. 332,000 doses were delivered by Japan late last month. 415,000 doses were delivered by the UK on Thursday. 668,000 more doses are arriving tonight from Japan. The Prime Minister announced last weekend that the AstraZeneca vaccines are to be used for Cambodia's booster shot campaign, giving all adults inoculated with either Sinopharm or Sinovac a third shot of vaccine to increase their protection against the Delta variant. At the same time, the Prime Minister says while the borders with Thailand remain closed, government is facilitating the return of Cambodian migrant workers. They're being tested and housed first at quarantine centers. To relieve pressure on those centers, more are being set up. Those who also still test negative after 7 days can be transported by the military to quarantine centers in their home provinces. Any migrant workers who develop mild cases of COVID-19 will be allowed to return to their homes for treatment. The Prime Minister is calling on all responsible stakeholders to support the border provinces in this effort. The kingdom's vaccination campaign reached Banteay Meanchey's Svai Chek district on Friday morning. Provincial Governor Umritrai personally inspected the vaccination centres. 47,000 people in the district have been inoculated at 8 locations in 8 communes or sankats. The governor called on all provincial residents to get their shots. He says even those who have been fully vaccinated must continue to adhere to the COVID-19 preventative measures, advice repeatedly announced by the royal government. Cambodia's daily COVID-19 numbers are starting to show encouraging trends. For a week now, daily recoveries have been outpacing new infections. The number of imported cases has also dropped dramatically, as has the daily death toll. The Health Ministry reported 588 new cases on Friday morning. Of those, 165 are imported. 19 new deaths have been recorded. New recoveries stand at 624, meaning the number of active COVID-19 cases in the kingdom has dropped sharply this week. Cambodia's total number of COVID-19 cases has now reached 80,813. The total number of fatalities has climbed to 1,526. Successful treatments have reached a total of 74,045. The National Social Security Fund has announced that workers in the private sector will now receive a retirement fund. The NSSF's Director of Customer Service and Public Relations, Heng Supanarit, says the new private sector package will work on a co-payment basis. A national retirement fund for private sector workers has been discussed in Cambodia for some time, but will now come into effect soon. Heng Supanarit has said that employees of private sector companies will pay a portion of their salaries into their retirement fund, a contribution which will be matched by their employer. This is a model already in use in dozens of countries around the world. Employees have access to the funds when they retire, which in Cambodia is at the age of 60. The fund is available to Cambodian nationals and foreigners, provided they are registered with the NSSF. Private enterprises that are registered members of the NSSF have been told to start preparing for the new retirement fund. Those that are not must register with the NSSF as soon as possible. The relationship between Phnom Penh and Washington appears to be back on track after an escalation of tensions back in June. On Wednesday evening, Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn attended an ASEAN post-ministerial conference attended by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The meeting came a day after the pair successfully co-chaired the second Mekong-US partnership meeting. Judging by statements made by the Foreign Ministry, it appears the diplomatic relationship between Cambodia and the United States has been reset. The outcomes of Minister Prak Sokhonn's discussions with his ASEAN counterparts and the US were released on Thursday, and the tone of the statement is certainly upbeat. In it, he welcomed the US's efforts to increase the momentum of its relations with ASEAN, especially through the implementation of the ASEAN-US Trade and Investment Framework Agreement. He went on to highlight the important role of the ASEAN Business Council in promoting trade and investment with the US, and also thanked Washington for its contribution of 1 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine, emphasizing the importance of promoting friendly relations between Cambodia and the US in these challenging times. The word friendly was also used by the Prime Minister last week, when he also thanked the US for the vaccines, describing it as a friendly country, along with the UK, Japan, and China. It's certainly a far cry from where relations were back in June, when a visit by Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman ignited something of a diplomatic incident. She requested, and was granted, permission to send a fact-finding team to Ream Naval Base to put Washington's worries about an alleged Chinese naval base to rest. The visit ended abruptly, with the US Embassy complaining it had not been granted full access to what is a military base owned by a sovereign country. The US has not mentioned Ream Naval Base again. Now for a look at news making headlines around the world this Friday, the 6th of August. An inferno is burning its way ever closer to downtown Athens. For the fourth day running, 500 firefighters are battling forest fires which leapt back to life on Thursday night after winds initially started dying down. But the wind picked up again, as did temperatures. Greece is suffering its worst heat wave in over 30 years. The wall of dark smoke rising high above the Greek capital is creeping closer, forcing residents to abandon attempts to save their properties and flee. With swathes of neighboring Turkey also aflame, smoke-filled skies have seen dozens of people hospitalized. More than 150 wildfires have broken out across Greece since Tuesday. Amazingly, no one has been killed. Sydney has reported its worst day of the pandemic, with a record rise in community infections of the highly contagious Delta variant. In southwest Sydney, police and army officers are patrolling shopping areas and checking that residents are complying with mask mandates and other preventative measures. There have been more than 4,300 cases reported in New South Wales in the past 7 weeks. The source of the Delta variant, a limousine driver who transported airline crew. He was not wearing a mask. And China says it will provide countries around the world 2 billion doses of vaccine this year, in addition to $100 million to the COVAX initiative. The pledge was made in writing by Chinese President Xi Jinping and delivered to the first meeting of the new International Forum on Vaccine Cooperation. The $100 million will support the distribution of vaccines to developing countries. Xi has stressed that vaccines are a global public good, and production lines in China are running around the clock. The Chinese president says he hopes the new forum will promote the fair distribution of vaccines around the world, strengthen solidarity and cooperation in developing countries, and score an early victory against the pandemic. Day 14 of Tokyo 2020 saw the very last of an Olympic event. There's also been some shock news for fans of Lionel Messi. I'll have the details for you after the break. EAC News fully supports the royal government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EART's Cambodia's audience is growing. Our YouTube channel now has 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube, given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EART's Cambodia's hard work and incredible achievement. She says not only has EART's Cambodia brought a unique voice and style to the world, but has also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to www.youtube.com/eartscambodia. Subscribers get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. We'll see you there. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of EART's Cambodia's platforms and channels: YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eartscambodia.com. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. It was an early start on day 14 of the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics on Friday morning. At 5:30 a.m. local time, the starter pistol was fired for the men's 50-kilometer race walk, and residents of Sapporo took full advantage of the cooler temperatures to watch what was an historic event. The event was moved from Tokyo to escape the capital's heat wave, but even at 5:30 in the morning, the mercury in Sapporo had already climbed to 31 degrees. Race walking has always been something of an oddity at the Olympics, and Friday's event was its last. The event is being shelved as an Olympic sport. It will not feature at Paris 2024. So the final gold medal for the men's 50-kilometer race walk went to Poland's Dawid Tomala in a time of 3 hours, 50 minutes and 8 seconds. He'll go down in history as the event's last winner. Poland is in 17th place on the medals table. It has been China's games, still dominating the top spot with a total of 34 golds and 74 medals in all. The United States remains second with a total of 91 medals, 29 of them gold. Japan has had a great time as host city, enjoying third place on the medals table all week. Australia lies in fourth place, with the Russian Olympic Committee in fifth. Russia cannot compete under its country name because of the doping scandal that dates back to 2012. Argentina striker Lionel Messi is leaving Barcelona. This is despite both parties having reached an agreement over a new contract. But Messi changed his mind, saying the deal was just too low. The club says its hands were tied because of new restrictions by La Liga. Barcelona has expressed its deep regret that neither the club's nor Messi's wishes could be fulfilled. La Liga recently introduced a fair play regulation limiting the amount clubs can pay top players in order to make things fairer for less valuable clubs at the lower end of the league. Messi first signaled his intentions to leave Barcelona last August, citing differences with then-club president Josep Maria Bartomeu, but appeared to be getting along better with new president Juan Laporta. His departure in 28 matches. He remains one of the biggest names in football. Let's have a look now what the weather's up to for the start of your weekend. And finally, it's been a terrible couple of weeks in southern Turkey with forest fires ravaging dozens of villages, towns, and resorts. But out of all the chaos came this beautiful scene in the town of Manavgat. Famously shy creatures, I bet you can't remember the last time you had a butterfly drinking out of the palm of your hand. Aid workers came across this little fellow as they patrolled the town looking for anyone needing assistance. Clearly, dying of thirst, this butterfly just couldn't seem to get enough. He wasn't even scared off by the people moving around his rescuer. He sat for over a minute drinking water and then appeared to rest. The aid workers who shot this footage say he fluttered away only a couple of minutes after they stopped filming. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EARTS Cambodia channel. You'll get more breaking news and updates from our website. Head to www.e-artscambodia.com. You could also search for EAC News on Telegram, as well as at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 in the weekly Roundup. I'll see you then.